There is still a voice that remains, as an echo from my childhood, and I hear it every now and then. And it reminds me of a time when everything was as it is now, but unspoken. A time when I was not yet poisoned by the cancer that had taken a root deep inside my being, and coiled its long tendrils around my veins like the vines of some ancient malicious plant that is just trying to survive. But in order to do so, it must suck the life from great living things, and force them to crumble and become compost, so that new great things can grow and be strangled, and become compost. We call this process life, and we are all vines. We are all great living things, and the voices from our past will never leave us as we grow and continue to try to survive. We will remember the floorboards and how they smelled of stain when we endured our first instance of cruelty, and we will remember how beautiful the sun shone when we were first abused, and we will remember the perfume and how our fingernails felt like they would fall out like leaves from a tree that was experiencing the encroachment of malicious vines. And we are that tree, to be chopped down to provide shelter and warmth for other people, and our ashes to be thrown away and discarded like we were never living beings who sacrificed for the existence of others. And we are vines, wrapping around other living things and sucking the life out of them as an act of desperation, so that maybe our ashes wouldn't be discarded and we wouldn't be forgotten, but in the end all things die. So we learn to live with those voices, and we learn to cope with the blood stains on the carpets of our mind, because we are human and we fight to try to stay alive. We try to fight to stay sane and stay sober, and sometimes we lose that fight, and sometimes we break down. Sometimes needles and burnt spoons are the only things that make us feel alive, something positive from the negative. We chop down our vines and force their stranglehold into the darkness, so that we can continue to grow closer to the sun in the sky that will one day consume our solar system, but today gives us life. We find other great living things and form forests of people to keep the vines at bay, and sometimes those forests are littered with blades and wrappers, while other times the forest floor is a sea of beer bottles and cheap liquor. But at the end of the day, we are all standing strong together to work past the finger-shaped bruises on our souls and excel beyond the hot breath of hatred on our necks. Every single tree will eventually fall and become food for the worms and fungus that rise up from our needles and condoms and bottles and books. Every single tree will wither and shed all its leaves at some point. Failure isn't the end. It is only a stop along our path to healing. Maybe one day we can see the sun without remembering the smell of alcohol on our breath. Today, I'm just happy to be alive.